President Trump's crackdown on undocumented immigrants in this country has resulted in a wave of very public arrests on the street, in courtrooms. And so onlookers have posted lots of video on social media, and they've gone viral. And they've generated applause from supporters and outrage from critics. In those videos, you'll often see federal agents in masks, so you can't see their identity. That's a far cry from police wearing badges with their names on them. A debate is unfolding in New York over a law that would forbid those agents from hiding their faces. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street, Glens Falls.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Thursday, August 14th. First up, if you're a National Grid customer, your electricity bill is going up. The State Public Service Commission approved a rate hike today. It'll raise the average bill by about $14 a month this year, starting in September, and by about $25 a month by the end of the 3-year agreement. The commissioners seem to approve the hike grudgingly, with Chair Rory Christian noting household expenses have gone up faster than paychecks. Still, the vote was unanimous. National Grid says the rate hike is needed to make $1.4 billion in capital improvements to the power grid, so it's more resistant to power outages and storm damage. It would also help advance the state's renewable energy and emissions reduction goals in the face of climate change. The town of Canton is asking residents to prepare for a town-wide reassessment of properties. Catherine Wheeler reports local leaders say they want it to be a smooth process.
There are about 4,000 properties in the town of Canton, but their value hasn't been reassessed since 2008. Town Supervisor Marianne Ashley says that's creating problems.
There's severe inequities of the tax roll. Who's paying how many taxes based upon the value of their homes?
Right now, properties in the town aren't being assessed at their market value. That can affect how local governments bond for major projects. So Ashley says it's time to level the playing field.
We're not trying to overtax people, but this is really a mandate that needs to be done. And it really should be done every 4 to 5 years, not 15, 16 years.
Canton officials are already bracing for pushback. As the process begins, they want to dispel the biggest misconception that comes with property reassessments, that it will automatically raise everyone's property taxes. Canton's assessor, Cindy Brand, says it's more complicated than that.
It could and it couldn't. It's what they say. A third will go up, a third will probably stay the same, and a third will probably come down. That's what we look at.
Brand says that's because a reassessment looks to distribute the tax burden fairly.
You know, someone has a $250,000 home, and they're paying taxes on $125,000. How fair is that?
Brand says the reassessment takes into account the changes you've made to a property. If you've added a new deck or central air, that would raise a home's value. Or it could go down if you've taken away things like filling in a pool. Brand says the town already sent out mailers to residents to help update their records before the assessment starts. She says more than 800 responses came back. Now the town is sending out informational pamphlets laying out what's to come in the next year.
And then the next step will be the valuation, which will be March 1st.
Brand says that's the day property owners will get their reassessment in the mail. From there, the review process begins. That's when residents can challenge their assessment. Brand is the sole assessor on staff and can't do all of the work herself, so the town has hired Gar Associates, a contractor that also handled reassessments in nearby Potsdam and Ogdensburg. There, many residents were angry about dramatically increased property taxes and a lack of transparency. Canton Town Supervisor Marianne Ashley says they're focused on keeping residents in the loop.
We're planning, we're preparing, and we know that it's going to be a challenge. And, you know, some people aren't going to be happy. But it's about the greater good of equity in the tax rolls.
She says doing this now will put the town in a better position to keep up with assessments regularly. Ashley says if Canton residents have questions or concerns, they can reach out to town officials. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio in Canton.
Federal immigration arrests are happening across the country, including here in New York State. The arrests have stood out because the ICE agents making them are often wearing face masks. And the trend has got people asking, should federal agents be allowed to wear masks? Jung-Yoon Han from the New York Public News Network has our story.
The scene is usually a chaotic one.
Move back! Get out the way! Out of the way! Get out the way!
In a video captured by witnesses, federal immigration agents in a New York City courthouse escort a man in custody through a crush of photographers and onlookers. Nearly all the agents are wearing face coverings, but that wasn't always the case. Ella Weber has been a volunteer court watcher since May. She says back then, federal agents weren't wearing masks.
It truly was only for the first few days. They very quickly understood that, New Yorkers wanted to protect their neighbors and were showing up and filming arrests.
When ICE or other officers make an arrest, Weber's role is to inform immigrants of their rights and assist them and their families in that moment.
That's the one word I would describe it as. It is very tense.
Before becoming president, Donald Trump promised the, quote, largest mass deportation in U.S. history, unquote. State Senator Pat Fahey, a Democrat from Albany, says the courthouse arrests and widespread detentions need to stop.
It's shocking my conscience. It should collectively shock the nation's.
While New York has no authority to stop the immigration arrests, Fahey thinks the state can do something about those masks.
Law enforcement generally has embraced transparency and accountability. So we just think this runs completely counter to what we have done here under our state law.
Fahey and Assemblymember Tony Simone have proposed a bill that would ban federal, state, and local law enforcement from wearing masks or face coverings when they interact with the public. There are medical and tactical exceptions, but that blanket policy would also require officers and agents to wear name badges or badge numbers and clothing that identifies what agency they're with.
The ICE agents are appearing without judicial warrants, without any identification. If that isn't a slippery slope toward a secret police force, I don't know what is.
Similar bills have been introduced in California, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Democrats in Congress, meanwhile, have proposed a nationwide ban for masks for federal agents. The Trump administration has defended the use of the masks. They say that agents have been doxxed at increasing rates. That means their personal information gets posted online.
I don't really understand what the sponsors are getting at.
That's Republican Will Barkley, the minority leader in the New York State Assembly.
Do they not think that ICE agents ought to use the tools to keep them safe?
Barkley sees the bill as more of a political statement than a solution to a problem. But he says in an ideal world, there would be no need for law enforcement to wear face coverings.
It just seems like this is sort of a reaction to something that hasn't really been an issue, other than they just don't generally like ICE agents and they don't like people getting deported.
Barkley is quick to note that some Democrats bristled at previous attempts to restrict members of the public from wearing masks. But Jessica Bowman-Posen, who teaches constitutional law at Columbia Law School, says the bill underscores a key tenet of democracy.
In a free nation, rather than a totalitarian regime, the people who are doing the work of government shouldn't have to conceal their identities, that there should be transparency about who government is and the work it is doing.
And she says it holds up to any legal challenges.
The strongest case for the law is that the states have both the constitutional power and you could even say a constitutional obligation to try to protect their residents.
Fahey says she doubts a mask ban would stop or slow the arrests, but she says the bill could bring more attention to how the federal government is arresting immigrants.
We think that some of this is also going to continue to play out in the court of public opinion.
The bill so far has dozens of co-sponsors. Lawmakers aren't due back in Albany until January. In Albany, I'm Jung-Yoon Han for the New York Public News Network.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Ramon Vasquez and Michael Hart of Malone. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.